All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at example 2 here now, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at example 2. And in this case, guys, they're giving us, it says the number of mosquitoes in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and millions of mosquitoes as a function of rainfall in centimeters is modeled by our following equation. So we are going to be using the equation of m of x equals negative x minus a 5 squared plus 25. Now, in this case, guys, first off, we want to go ahead and do is label our variables. So we want to go ahead and label our variables here. So starting off in this case, guys, they are giving us two different variables. They're actually giving us the number of mosquitoes in millions of mosquitoes, and then they're giving us rainfall in centimeters. Now, if you could take a look at this here, guys, they're not telling us one of these represents X or the other one represents Y. We actually have to find that out. Now, one way we could do this, guys, is that Y always represents the biggest unit of measure. In this case, they're giving us millions and centimeters. Out of these two, the greatest one would be millions. So because this one here is the greatest one, that actually represents Y. So Y in this case is actually number of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes in millions. Number of mosquitoes in millions. All right, so that leaves in this case X as rainfall in centimeters. In centimeters. All right, so we have X and we have Y. Another way you guys could identify it is if you guys see the phrase as a function of, this actually gives you Y. Anything that comes before this phrase as a function of represents Y. Anything that comes after it represents X. That's another way we could identify it. So let's go ahead and take a look at our graph here, guys. And this is our graph. Now, in this case, what they're telling us, or what I can read in this case from the graph, is that when we have zero rainfall, so that means that when there's no rainfall, then we have no mosquitoes at all. So zero rainfall means zero mosquitoes. If in this case we have about 5 centimeters of rainfall, then we have about 25 million mosquitoes in the population. And in this case, if we have about 10 centimeters of rainfall, then we also have no population here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of our problems here. Once again, X represents rainfall, Y represents the mosquitoes. So in this case, it says how many centimeters of rainfall will produce no mosquitoes? We'll go ahead and read that again, guys, and highlight or circle any keywords or phrases here. So how many centimeters of rainfall will produce no mosquitoes? A few of our units here that they're giving us, or words or phrases, is centimeters of rainfall and no mosquitoes. Now, if we take a look back at what represents X and Y, centimeters of rainfall in this case represents X, and mosquitoes in this case represents Y. So they're asking us what X value gives us no mosquitoes. Now, if they're saying there's no mosquitoes in this case, they're actually telling us that Y has to be equal to 0. So if we take a look back at our graph, we want to go ahead and see where Y in this case is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and see that. So if we take a look at our graph here, where does Y equal 0? And if we see here, guys, there's actually two spots, here and there. So in this case, when there are 0 centimeters of rainfall or 10 centimeters, then there's no population. So that's what we're going to go ahead and write. So in this case, we're actually looking at, because it's X, and the only place where Y is equal to 0 is on the x-intercept. So in this case, this is x-intercept. And our solutions in this case is 0 centimeters of rainfall and 10 centimeters. All right, so that would be our answer. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the next question, guys. Next question says, what is the maximum number of mosquitoes? What is the maximum number of mosquitoes? So a few keywords or phrases here, guys. Maximum and number of mosquitoes. Now, once again, guys, whenever they're talking about the maximum, the minimum, the highest, the lowest point, it represents our vertex. So we're looking for a value in the vertex. Once again, the vertex has 2 points. It has the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. Now, in this case, it says number of mosquitoes. If we take a look back when we labeled x and y, mosquitoes is represented by y. So in this case, they want us to know what is the y value of the vertex, which in this case would be our y-coordinate of vertex. So let's go ahead and see that. Let's go ahead and see it. And in this case, guys, vertex is here, y is 25. So our answer in this case should be 25 million mosquitoes. So that is our answer for that one. Now, last question in this case, guys, says, how many centimeters of rainfall will produce the maximum number of mosquitoes? Once again, go ahead and underline or highlight any keywords or phrases here. So starting off, it says how many centimeters of rainfall will produce the maximum number of mosquitoes. So going back, guys, once again, centimeters of rainfall is represented by x. Maximum, in this case, represents a point in our parabola or graph here, which is the vertex. And number of mosquitoes represents y. So in this case, they want to know how many, what x in this case is going to give us the vertex to get y. So how many centimeters will produce the maximum number of mosquitoes? How many centimeters, what x value in this case in the vertex gives us y? So what x? Which in this case, guys, is the x coordinate. Once again, because it's in the vertex. So x coordinate of vertex. So if we take a look at our vertex here in our graph, that would actually be the x, which is 5. So our answer in this case, guys, is 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters of rainfall. And that there, guys, is our final answer. All right. So that was the lesson for today.